Good evening, my Roslins and Rosikins. Mother is back, and I want to talk about how my Southern African American ancestry has impacted my beauty. So, first, I want to talk about the fact that I was raised by 1950s baby boomers who are also civil rights babies who were raised in a culture that was very Southern African American impacted. And my parents, they have, and when I say parents in this video, I'm talking about my African American adopted parents, right? Who I consider my parents because they raised me and I love them so much. And my birth parents, like I said, I'm adopted, so I wasn't raised by my birth parents, but I do know them to a certain extent. But this video, when I say parents, I'm talking about my adopted ones. So I was raised by baby boomers who were very much affected by their culture in regards to a religious Southern background. So those of you who are familiar with this denomination should be able to kind of piece things together from this point on. But I was raised in an African American Kojic church background. So I grew up in Kojic. My parents actually, on my adoptive side, and I will mention this, on my birth side, grew up in Kojic as well in regards to, I would say, my mother's side. So my great grandmother, my mother's side, my birth mother's side, she was actually a famous church mother. And so is my adoptive grandmother on my adoptive mom's side. She's also a famous church mother in Kojic. And so I come from preachers, I come from apostles, I come from prophets and prophetesses, I come from first ladies on both sides of my family, which in regards to birth and adopted. So I literally, I'm not new to this aspect of African American Southern culture. I'm true to this. So do you guys know how, like, in the movie, like, what's it called, Soul Food? Or like Tyler Perry's movies when it's like church based and church centered. I grew up in that type of dynamic. I grew up where after church, we would go have a Sunday dinner at my grandmother's house with everybody there. We'd get KFC or Popeyes and whatnot. And I also want to add that my dad, he's a, um, a preacher as well, a pastor, and his dad is a bishop, his late father. And yeah, I just come from that. And my on my mom's my adopted mom's side too, her dad was a bishop and pastor. Actually, I don't know if he was a bishop, but I do know that he was a pastor. I have uncles that are pastors. So it's just like I have a lot of different religious power and I come from a very great priesthood. So I will say that has impacted my Southern femininity like the most is the religious aspect. Like I grew up wearing the little poofy dress, the little socks with the fringes or the little shrilly sheer fringes, the little black church shoes or white church shoes, putting my hair up with bobos, doing little braids, relaxing your little hair just for me, kid. Straightening your hair. Oh my god, I grew up with all that stuff. Flat ironing on a Sunday, put your little lipstick on or lip gloss. I say lip gloss. But I grew up with that type of dynamic. Wearing a little perfume, a little baby oil, a little shea butter, cocoa butter. Oh my god. That's one thing that I will say that my parents, and when I say parents again in this video, I'm talking about my adoptive parents, have instilled in me. They instilled a great sense of a religious type of femininity and African American culture in regards to religion, specifically Kojic. And throughout the video, I'm going to be showing pictures of Kojic women, and you can see they very much prioritize their beauty as much as their holiness. But I feel like nowadays it's more beauty than holiness, but that's just the tea. I will say this generation of Kojic is different from the generation that I've seen and witnessed from the older generation of Kojic. And I think it's just very interesting. Kojic was also founded by Bishop Mason, and he was actually from Mississippi. So I find it interesting because Mississippi is also one of my roots, my ancestral Southern roots, I believe. And so I just find it interesting how my roots correlate with my femininity to this extent. I also have a lot of Southern hospitality that I've learned from my parents in the sense of how you're supposed to cater to family when they're over, guests when you go into their house. how, when you're at someone's house and they have a husband or a boyfriend or a son or whatever, you dress accordingly. You don't dress in like some short shorts and a tank top when you're walking around. You put on full covered clothing, actually, for pajamas. And even also, this, like, if you're about to go to bed, just stay in the room with your pajamas. Only come out when you're fully dressed, or, going to take your bath, and then change in the bathroom, etc. So I grew up with that type of a household, those type of standards. Making sure you're hygienic as a young woman, not smelling musty and crusty. you know I grew up in that type of dynamic. My dad would also tell us, when you're taking pictures of the young lady, you do not be sticking out your tongue, doing some weird hand signals. You make sure that you look like you have home training. My mother taught us how to clean, how to cook, how to serve the men in our family. How, like when you set the table, you serve the men and then the children, then yourself last. um, she always tell us about like what our husbands would expect in the future. So I find that very interesting. And things like that. Like, I grew up in a household like that, right? It was like a mix of modern type of mindset as well as old school mindset. So my dad raised us enough to learn how to be independent, but also to understand a man's position in the household. And my mother raised us to, encourage us to pursue what we want, but understand the family dynamic of the woman in the household, right? So I will say, from being raised by those two, it really helped give me stability in regards to my womanhood and my femininity. And I attribute that also to the Southern roots they have, as well as what they've instilled in me. And naturally, I'm a Southern belle, it's in my blood. I trace back to the Southern African American communities for a reason. And what's funny is I always felt like I was made to be a housewife. I was always made to be the type of woman that, looks pretty when her husband comes home, giving a melanin roll. Okay. And like, it's giving the I'm about to say, let me not say that. I was about to say it's giving the help. But when I mean the help, I mean like the fashion. But then again, when I think about the help, only the white women in the help had fashionable outfits, which does not help my case right now. Anyway, the point is, though, my Roslins and Rosikins, that mother grew up in a very traditional household. My mother was a stay-at-home wife and mother, and then my dad was the one that went out to provide. And that also has shaped why I feel like I can only respect a provider. I'm just gonna say it. I can't. I just can't. Child, please. Anyway, I can only respect a provider. I can only respect a protector, because if I don't have a provider and protector, like, what are you here for? You're just a fun joystick in the making, if you get my drift. Um, oh wait, I also wanted to mention, I think that me being raised by civil rights babies has also, in a Koji background, has also attributed to me wanting to continue to wait till marriage. Like I said in my other video about femininity, I have a Abrahamic view of femininity to a certain extent. Like, I believe that men are to be leaders and protectors and providers for the community, and I can't help but respect a man that knows who he is, especially as a black man. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. It's like, oh, thank God. And who looks out for the women in the community, as in, black women, exoticals, women that have a foot in the black community to some degree. So I can't help but respect men like that, because it's just like, it's giving. It's giving. It's giving husband. Anyway, so like for me, I have a very interesting thing, because I also want to add that, like the red pill doctrine, etc., and how they talk about a woman's place beside a man, etc., and if you want a certain type of man, you got to be a certain type of woman. I actually do agree. And I think that might be controversial, because I am so truly a girl's girl and I want women to win. But I also understand that with the male psyche and how men think, from the way that I was raised, there were no lies told. And this is why, for me, I love Exalcos United, because she decenters men. But I also understand that she's someone who's also realistic. Like, you can't be expecting certain types of men and things and wanting them, but not putting in any work to level yourself up as a woman. Just like Shira Seven, I love Shira Seven, I love Six the Goddess, I love Danica Marie, because they keep it real. Like, okay, like you want a certain type of man, you want to be, have access to certain type of things, but what are you going to do as a woman? Are you going to be responsible as a woman? Are you going to stand on your womanhood? Are you going to make certain sacrifices? And even Kevin Samuels, I listened to him for a little bit at one point before he had passed away. And sometimes I might occasionally go back to his videos to remind myself, hey, like, no, you can never be so entitled to a certain life when you're not willing to put in the work or a certain type of partner. It just is what it is. And again, with all these different content creators and with all the things that I've learned growing up and how I was raised, you take what you need, what you can apply to your life in a healthy way, and then you spit out the rest, right? So, like with Exoticals United, I take her decentrament thing, even though I have more of a traditional mindset to a certain degree, because I understand that at the end of the day, as a woman, like, men can break you, men could take everything that you have cultivated as a woman, your beauty, your health, your resources, and leave you high and dry if you play the fool for them. And I don't want to be that type of woman either. But like with Six the Goddess and Danica Marie, they make sure to talk about the accountability of Black women within the community and the Black community in general in regards to femininity, and how you can't be a beluga whale, as Exotic United would say, and Six the Gods would say, you can't be a big bag, basically shaped like a coin machine, shaped like a bottle of detergent, and then expect like certain type of men, like, oh, Black men don't want us. Like, no, it's just that you're badly built. On God, it's giving the truth. It's just that you don't hold yourself accountable as a woman. On God, it's giving the truth. Is that you made bad life decisions, as Nick Marie always points out in a lot of her videos. It's that you're entitled to men. You feel entitled to a man that you're not even on their level for in regards to that, because he's very um successful. He has a certain image to uphold. He's made certain circumstances and sacrifices to get where he's at. And he has a certain character. You want good men, but you want to have the bad decisions and you want them to clean it up. That's not fair. So she talks about that and how men, like Exalted Night has said multiple times, are touch starved. Men have a lot of flaws. And what I like about Danica Marie is that she brings the humanity side to men as well. Like, she talks about their struggles and how they view women based off of the women that they've encountered within the community. So I find it very interesting, like all these different perspectives. That's why, for me, I believe I'm a well-rounded woman, where I'm able to decenter men, but also understand my place beside a man. I'm able to understand that I want a provider and protector, but I have to put in the work, or else I'm just a delusional as hell, just like every other woman that say they want that. And I'm also able to understand that whether I get this or don't, I'm going to be okay, because I understand how to stand on my own 2 feet as well. So I'm just the type of woman, mother's just the type of woman that contingency plans, baby. Okay. Like, okay, this don't work out, this. Okay. Then that, okay. Then this. So, and also like with the don't want a family thing. So for me, I don't, well, not want to, don't want a family, but don't want kids. At one point I wanted kids. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and wife. But instead now I just want to be, I guess for me, I personally just don't want to be a mother. I do not mind. I feel like being a wife one day. I think that would be a very beautiful thing with the right man. Hashtag provider and protector. And for me, yeah, mother's out of my cards. I'm good off that. I'm so good. That's one less innocent soul I have to worry about being totally drained and tainted by this disgusting, filthy world, respectfully. And that's why I say it displays some Abrahamic views, because there are men out there, though, that don't want kids. I'm just going to say the truth. There are men out there that don't want kids. There are men that do. And so for me, I want a man that doesn't want kids. Now, it's one thing to mentor kids because, as you know, I used to be an educator, so I love children. Children are a blessing, but it's not something that I want to gamble with in regards to creating a family. And then what if I lose my family? What if I lose my child? It's just so much. And I talked about this in my child-free video, right? So it's just a lot that I think about in regards to being a child-free brown cis dark skin exotical and my femininity, and how my southern roots really shaped that for me, and how I view relationships and men and women and our place in the community, and just so many different things. I feel like with me and the way I think, a lot of people wouldn't think that I think the way I think, but I do, you know? But I also could say that I agree with the 4B movement too, which is so ironic because I'm like all over the place, but it makes sense to me. It all makes sense because it's all the truth. It's just depending on when you should apply certain truths. You know what I'm saying? So 4B was started in, I believe, Korea, and it's about women not having sex with men, not marrying men, not having their babies, and not dating men. So basically, the women in Korea were being abused by the men in their community, and so they said, you know what? Screw it, we ball. They said, you need me, I don't need you, and it is what it is. And I can agree more. I do believe as women that we have a lot of power too. Just like men have a lot of power, we all have different roles to play in the world. And I believe that when I'm as a woman and being devalued by men, I got to go. It is what it is, and no one can convince me otherwise. And sucks to suck. And people could judge me, but I know they have MGTOW, men go their own way or whatever. So I understand they got passport bros. They got all these different things along with the red pill sector that I look at. I find it interesting. I mean, I don't fault people for doing what they feel they have to do for their love life, but I don't like be like, yeah, uh-huh. It's just like, okay, like that's you. I have no feelings. It's not my life. It's your life. So you live it how you want. But I just find it so interesting. Then you have divestors within the Black community. You have so many different things that I just really think about. And let me tell you something. I have went to many different rabbit holes throughout my feminine journey. So many. I kid you not. And so with my femininity, I just find it so interesting. I just find it so interesting. And a lot of the principles that I see, circulating on the internet and circulating in the Black community nowadays, the mindset shift and the culture shift, is a lot of things that I was grown up on, right? But I feel like I was grown up in a healthier way because I was grown up in a way where my parents instilled traditional values, but they also understood that I might have to adapt depending on the environment I find myself in. And that's why I'm thankful for my Southern root heritage and my parents raising me the way they did and my spiritual background, or I should say religious background with Kojic and the Christian church, because it did give me some type of a foundation that I can always come back to help guide me, and to appreciate my beauty. So through my Southern roots and my Christian or Kojic background, as one would say, Kojic background, I learned to appreciate dresses. I learned to appreciate, doing your little hair, doing your little nails, understanding my place beside a man. I learned to appreciate the fact that I am someone who is very much important as a woman. I decide and give power to the next generation that comes after us because we're the teachers of our community, right? We are the queens of our bloodline, you know? So I understood the importance I held as a woman. And I also understood the submission that is important in a healthy relationship if you're going off of Abrahamic values. Now, I know that we can do things differently nowadays in the sense of, your relationship with your partners, however you want it to be, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever, So I get it. I do get that part. I get it. I get it. I get it. Right. But I don't know. A traditional way of relationships has a special place in my heart. It just does. And I appreciate strong men. I appreciate men that are leaders. I appreciate men that have a spiritual and, slash religious compass or personal relationship with God, as one should say. I appreciate that because that tells me that you are not ignorant to your divine power as a man. Just like I'm not ignorant to my divine womanhood and power as a woman, As a man, you are a god. As a woman, you're a goddess. It is what it is. We are creators. We're made in the image of God. And so we have all the strength, the power, and the ability to change our lives as men and women. And it takes a strong, healthy, secure man and woman to come together to create something great. And that is what something that my Southern background has taught me in regards to my femininity. It's empowered me to understand that, yes, I am a woman. Yes, there is a place for submission as a woman. Um, and yes, there is also a place for fierceness, for power, for leadership as a woman as well. Now, in regards to what type and how is dependent on the circumstances and the relationship you have, right? And how you are in regards to your personality. Like I've told you, I'm in the military. And so for me, I have a feminine assertiveness. I don't have a male domination type of tactic or energy. I don't do that. I don't need to, honey. I don't do that. Anyway, so I find it very interesting though when people, I feel like I will always say this, either misunderstand me or they're completely shocked because of the way I think. Like I always have people tell me like you're 26, like the way you think, and I've always had people tell me this ever since I was a girl, a little girl, like the way you think is just like years ahead. And I just do. I don't know. It's just part of, I feel like, how I was raised again. It was part of how I was raised. I have a foundation and I built on that because I understand there was a lot of sacrifices made for me, for mother, to be the woman she is today. And I talk about a lot of the trauma I've went through on this channel with my parents and my birth parents in the sense of, trying to figure out my identity, trying to figure out like where I come from, who I am. I've gone through a lot of shit, okay? I'm not gonna hold y'all. I've gone through a lot of shit to get to this place that I am in. But with everything that I've gone through, it has blessed me too because it has strengthened me. And that's why I'm thankful. And that's why I push myself hard. That's why I'm a go getter. That is why I have a foundation, why I'm level headed, right? And why I have a good head on my shoulders because I realize that a lot of sacrifices are made from the people that I hold dear in my life, that raised me, and the family that adopted me, and the different experiences I've had, and even with my birth parents, right? Everything that I've been through in life has made me understand that I have got to win. I have got to figure shit out. I have got to think miles ahead because I will be damned, mother will be damned, if I ever spit and shit on the sacrifices, the wisdom that has been departed into me, the love that has been departed into me, even the love through pain, right? Because the Black community, we have a lot to heal from. We need to heal a lot of our family dynamics. But even though I'm not as close with any of my parents as I wish I was, I still respect what they have given me and I cherish that. And that is why I'm so big on fighting to be a better woman, a better mother, a better me every day, and to bring honor to the people that have raised me in this life so far and thus far. And I've had a lot of influences from other people within the church as well, and from people I just meet throughout my life in different journeys, different parts of my life, and I'm thankful. I was telling somebody the other day, the people you meet in life, you never really understand it sometimes until you look back on it, and you realize I was meant to meet that person. I was meant to be raised by those people. I was meant to be in this circumstance. I was meant for this because it's building me. It's making me the queen or king that I am going to be and destined to be. And that is what reminds me of like David, how he was a shepherd boy first, and then he, slung in and killed Goliath with the rock, and then years later he becomes king. You know, a lot of the things that we go through, my Rosans and Rosakins in life, and all those who are listening, right? It's made to help you, to shape you into your womanhood, your manhood, to give you the divine order, grace, resilience, power to be the king and queen you are meant to be the chosen one you're meant to be, right? And so I am thankful. I am thankful. Yes, there were a lot of hard times in my life growing up because of being raised in a religious Kojic household with religious baby boomers that I completely adore, the civil rights babies. Okay, 1950s, where you at? and but it shaped me because there was also a lot of love, right? And I also want to say within the Black community, it comes down to parents, and a lot of us younger generations who are now speaking up and telling our parents how we felt, how certain things hurt us, how there was abuse, things like that. It's not lost on me. I've tried to have these conversations with my parents and they have apologized, right? But sometimes it still hurts, right? And it takes me understanding that I can still love my parents and keep them at a distance and still honor them too, right? And so that is what I find myself trying to do the most of. And I miss my parents a lot of days because they are amazing people. But I also understand that, there are people that are flawed just like I am. We're all going to make mistakes, whether you're a parent or not. So you just have to extend that grace and that forgiveness. And I'm not saying you owe anybody forgiveness depending on how traumatized you are by the people that were supposed to protect you. But what I am saying is that forgiveness is also for yourself, right? I say take what was good and heal what was broken to the best of your ability and keep moving forward. As my baby daddy, Aaron Yeager, would say, keep moving forward. Okay, keep moving forward. My anime baby daddy, okay? I don't have no real baby daddies. I don't do that over here. I was raised better than that, respectfully. So, it was just a lot of things that were instilled in me growing up that has shaped me to be the mother that I am. It's giving. And so I don't know. I love it. I love where I come from. I love my people. I love the community I come from, despite all the pain and the trauma and the bullshit that, no offense, a lot of y'all be on, and myself included was on at one point. But there is beauty that comes from my community. There is power, right? There is blessings. There are so many things I had to be thankful for as a brown says dark skin exotical. And I am thankful for, because I cannot imagine my life without the people that I've had in it. I cannot imagine my life without the trials I've gone through that I have overcame and turned my pain into profit, into power. I cannot forget, lest we forget, right, what the Lord has done for me. I cannot forget what I have sacrificed for myself to be better, right? And so that's why on this channel, I'm going to always push you, my Roslins and Rosikins, to be better people, to be better, especially if you have a foot in the Black community, because we have a lot of people that don't want to be better. But for those of us who want to be more than a stereotype, I always told myself this since I was a child, I'd be damned if I'm going to be a statistic. I'm not going to be a single mother. I'm not going to be those things. I'm not. And I will die standing on that, because I was raised to have principles, right? You either stand for something or you fall for everything. And honey, I'm not falling. Not in that category, I'm not. And I have fallen before, in the sense of I made mistakes, but I learned from it and I got the hell back up and kept on moving forward. Okay? How you like that? Okay? And I expect that from you all too. There is nothing wrong with having a low moment in life. There is nothing wrong with being broken. It's only wrong when you accept that that's all you're ever going to be. It's only wrong when you say you're not going to get back up, when you know damn well you have it in you to get back up. That's when I side eye you and I tell you that you're being weak. Just because you have been subdued in life does not make you a captive. It makes you someone that is weak in a moment, but that is still strong regardless, because you're going to get back up. You're going to rise from the ashes. I always call myself a phoenix that rises from the ashes. And I think of Samson, how he had lost his power to Delilah. And then, God blessed him and gave him grace and gave him back his strength one last time. And he was able to defeat his enemies, right? For me, I don't believe that Samson was ever weak in the sense. I believe he forgot who he was and overestimated his strength and thought that he could do it by himself, because strength was one of his blessings bestowed upon him by God as one of the prophets, right? Or judges, one of the judges, not prophets, one of the judges. But when he remembered who his strength came from, he was able to use his power again, right? I believe as melanated people, we have an internal primordial power, right? We have an ancient power within us, a power that predates time itself. And it comes from God, or Yah. I call him Yah, right? It comes from Yah. And when you understand your place within the world, within history, within time itself, within the spiritual realm, as a melanated person, and you stand on your business, you will be surprised just how powerful you really are. And that's why I just want to encourage you all, right? My femininity is cultivated from the beautiful, spiritually strong people that I've encountered in life, from the way that they taught me how to be feminine, and from what I've come to learn about my own femininity. Everyone's journey is different. It's not always going to be easy, but I wanted to speak on this because I think it's important as a woman to other women, that the things that you've endured, the things that you have experienced in life, let that help cultivate your femininity. Don't let it make you more masculine. Let it lean into the power of your femininity to rise above it all and become a better woman. Let that fuel you to go past what people expect of you. Let it fuel you to rise above. I mean, Meg Thee Stallion says, I eat hate, right? I'm her, 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 she. Let it grow you. Let it raise you. Let it birth you into your greatness, into your womanhood. Don't let it stop you. Don't let it break you. Let it shape you to be better. And that's what I've learned with everything that I've been through with my femininity so far. All the things that I mentioned, the things I'll keep mentioning on my channel, they have helped me to be a better woman. And I just want to be able to be a voice for you all because I know you're going through it, right? Beautiful women, we go through it. It just is what it is, right? Especially us brown slash dark skin exoticals and other pretty women, regardless if you're a lighter exotical or even unambiguous black women that might be listening, and my Rosikins as well, or unambiguous black men that might be listening, right? At the end of the day, we all have a foot in the same community to some extent. And what I do know is that there's a lot of things going on in our community, cool. But don't let that break you, right? I'm here to encourage all of us that we need to use that to be better men and women, regardless, right? So with that, Mother is going to say ciao. And I literally love you guys so much. Mother is so proud of you all, right? Because we're doing the work. We're getting better. We are growing mentally, spiritually, financially, physically glowing up, professionally, right? Some of us that are child free, living our best lives. Some of us that are parents, being good parents to those, to the children that we have if we are parents. Again, I'm child free, but shout out to the parents, to the husbands, the wives, the girlfriends, the boyfriends, the fiancés, etc. Shout out to all of us, right? Because we're just doing the best we can in 2025. And I am proud of us because we are all coming a long way. We're going to go even further in life. Shout out to my successful fellow exotical channels. Okay, get the bag, get the exotical tax, Exoticals United says. And shout out to women who are going to do the work for their femininity, right? You have got this. I know you got this, right? I know you've got this. You got this. So with that, I'm going to say ciao. Mother says bye.